guys, it's Paul, and I'm back at you. I wanted to talk today a little bit about some theory. Don't go running, don't run. It's not going to be that bad. But there are some things that I've actually come across, and I'm sure some of it's not going to be new news to some, but I can tell you, I based on some experiences that I've had in the past couple of years, I think that this information is going to help some people. I've had opportunities to meet with some of the best players in the world and actually go through some training and cool little things with them. And one of the things that I always kind of come away with outside of what I get from it personally is that I see from time to time I see guys and they're scratching their heads about some very basic concepts when it comes to theory in general. So I just wanted to touch on a couple of things. One, that's the major scale, how it's built, and the intervals of the major scale and how they sit or how they rest, where they are on this little tiny instrument. And it's going to help because it's like that for all 12 keys. It doesn't change. So basically, the bottom line is what I'd like to do is help everybody to be able to memorize where things are on the harmonica in terms of intervals and stuff like that. So I think first things first, a couple of housekeeping things. Diatonic means the notes of a scale, or the notes pertaining to the prevalent key. So the notes of the key of C, this is a key of C Marine Band Deluxe, by the way. The notes of the key of C all live on this harmonica, and I can get all of them without bending. So that's first. Chromatic harmonicas are, chromatic means to ascend or descend in using semitones. Semitones are half steps. So you've got, in music, you've got whole steps and half steps between notes, intervallic whole steps and half steps. That's what we're going to talk about, along with the sevens and fives and all that kind of stuff that I was talking about on one of my other videos. I was saying that a lot of the time you go to these things and they're talking, well, you're going to have a flat five, and that's just nothing more than a seven. You add that seven, blah 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 blah. So anyway, without further ado, I just the C major scale or the major scale. There is a pattern to all major scales. The major scale, regardless of what the root note is built using these whole steps and half steps. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So between C and D is a whole step, D and E is a whole step, E and F is a half step, F and G is a whole step, G to A is a whole step, A to B is a whole step, B to C is a half step. So whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. If you remember that and the root note that you're on, you can build any major scale. Okay? Understand that C major, and this is probably one of the biggest reasons most people use the key of C when we first start out, is because it has no sharps or flats. Okay? The other key signatures do. You need them in order to make those notes fit within that pattern. Okay? So the pattern of the major scale is always that way. Okay? Now, if we were to think about the major scale in terms of intervals, intervals are nothing more than the distance between two notes. So if you've got, between the tonic or the root note, which would be C to D, that's a second. Okay? Between the first note, the C, and the E, that's a third. So you get thirds, seconds, fourths, fifths, all this kind of stuff right up to the seventh and eighths. You've got compound intervals, which are ninths, 11ths, 13ths, and so on and so forth. We're not going to get into that. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and then the octave, 8. That's what we're going to talk about today. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we think about the harmonica in terms of the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, it's going to make some things very clear for us when we're in these seminars or when we're talking to other musicians and they're saying, well, you got a flat 5 there. Flat 5 would be on this harmonica would be the 2 draw bent to half step. Okay, and the reason I know that, without further ado, is I'm going to share this with you on the bottom half. You got on the top. Well, let's start with the top half. The blow notes: 1 3 5, 1 3 5, 1 3 5, 1. Those are the intervals. So the first, third, fifth, first, third, fifth, first, third, fifth, and first of the C major scale. Okay, C E G, C E G, C E G. C is the first, E is the third, G is the fifth. Okay, notes of the C major scale. So, and coincidentally, the beautiful thing is because C, E, and G is the major chord. So chords are built off of the scale for which they're named. So you've got C major scale and then C major chord. So C, E, and G is your major chord, right? All right, so first, third, and fifth. They're stacked thirds, by the way. Chords are stacked thirds, major chords. You got the first, so C to D to E, okay, or C to D to E, C, E, and G. So C to D is, that's 2 notes, and then D to E, that's 3 notes. So C, D, and E, so stacked thirds. E, F, and G, stacked thirds, okay? So C, E, and G. So you got 3 notes, 3 notes. Hope that doesn't confuse anybody. Just think in terms of threes, okay? That's also one of the reasons they call it a triad. So you've probably heard the triad. That's the major triad. Well, it's just the major chord, okay? So you got 3 notes. It's a major triad. It's built off of stacked thirds. Okay, so anyway, blow notes are first, third, and fifth. So you got your major chord, right? So down below you have second, fifth, seventh, okay? Second, fourth, sixth, seventh, second, fourth, and sixth. 2, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6. If you remember that, now you've got the intervals on the bottom, okay? So if I'm in C and I want to know where the second is, without, in the bottom octave, where's the second? It's in the 2 draw, right? So you got 2, 1 draw is the second, okay? So you got your second is the 1 draw, okay? So what would be the second of C? It's a D, so that's a D note, right? So this is kind of a way that you can put these things together. If somebody says, I need you to play, what's the flat 5 in the key of C, okay? Well, the first is C, the third is E, and the fifth is G, okay? So the 5 is G. So a flat 5 would be F sharp or G flat, okay? So you're going to take that note and you're going to bend it down a half step. Now, where does the 5 live on this thing? You've got the 5 here on the 3 blow, right? But that down below, are you able to bend that sucker? And the blow notes, not without overblows, right? But you have a 5 right here, 2 draw. So the 2 draw is the 5th. So you got 2nd, 5th, 7th. So on the 2 draw, you got the 5th there, which is the G. So you've got a G, right? So if you bend that a half step, so you got the F sharp, G flat, right? So that's your flat 5, okay? In the bottom half. So that kind of gives you an idea of some of the things that you can do with remembering these intervals, the intervals on the harmonica. So also on the 3 draw, you've got a 7. Okay, so you got the 7 there, but on the 7 draw, you've also got the 7. So the cool thing is the way this is laid out. It doesn't take much to memorize all of this, because between the 4 blow and the 7 blow, you've got the major scale, and it's basically just laid out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then octave. So 4 blow, right, so that's the major scale played between 4 and 7. So it's 4 blow, 4 draw, 5 blow, 5 draw, 6 blow, 6 draw, 7 draw, and then 7 blow. Sorry. Okay, and that's how you get those intervals. So you've got here. Let's see. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth octave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 octave. Okay, it's kind of cool because it's just basic huff and puff stuff, right? No bends to get that. So if you think in terms of numbers, that's how they lay, right? And it's kind of the same way from 7 to 10. If you play, the only note that you need to bend on the whole 7 to 10 to get that major scale is the 10 blow. You take it down a half step because you need that B. So to get that 10 or to get that 7. Okay, so 1 3 5 1 3 5 1 3 5 1 2 2 5 7 2 4 6 7 2 4 6. Okay, so the 2 of C is D, right? And then you've got a G, which is the 5, right? And then the 7 is B. So you got D, G, and B. Okay, and then you've got another D here. All right, D, G, B. And then, so D, G, and B, what is that? D, G, and B. Those make up what chord? The G. G, A, B, C, D. So if you stack thirds from the G, and we know that second position in the key of C harmonica is G, right? So it's based off that G chord. So you stack the thirds. So all of those notes, they're just arranged differently, but they're all right there for that G chord. Okay. So you got the G chord down below. So it's kind of cool because you're getting the major chord up here, and you're getting another one down below here in that first few holes, right? The G. So the layout of the harmonica is actually, if you look at it in terms of intervals, it'll help you remember. It's going to help you remember that because it's the same way for every diatonic harmonica. They're all laid out that way. So regardless of what key you're in, if you remember the whole half, whole half, I mean, for the 7. So if I was to talk about the G major scale or the key of G major, what is the 7? What is the 7 in G? It's F sharp, right? Well, it's got to be a half step down from the octave because I know that it's a half step between the 7 and the 8. So, but here's the problem. You've got between, if you were taking in whole notes, F and G, that's a whole step, right? So I need to do something to that F to make it fit within the major scale. I got to sharp that note. So I'm gonna take it up a whole half step to F sharp. And that's because of where everything else lays out. So if you start out at the root note and you build the scale from there, you'll see you need to sharp that note. But it also helps you to remember what the 7 would be in the key of G. It's F sharp. And I hope I'm not confusing anybody, but this is just remember the whole half, whole half, okay, and then the 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, the key, the musical alphabet, as we all know, is just 7 notes. It's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then it starts over again on A. Scales are really nothing more than just, those notes played in a musical way, in a succession, in a particular order. They're played in or modes. I'm not going to get into that right now, but it's what we're doing with them. The best part about it is that if you remember those numbers, you're going to remember where those things are: 2, 5, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6 on the bottom. You now know in the key of C that the 2 is the 1 draw, or the 5 is the 2 draw, and if you you can use some of these notes as reference. It's kind of cool, actually, and it will help with that. And hopefully there will be less confusion in some of these seminars and things like this. I'm sorry if I hope I didn't confuse anybody. I really hope I didn't. I tried to put this as simply as I possibly could. Oh, one important key aspect to this is there are naturally recurring half steps that you have to remember this. Between the notes B and C and E and F, they are always together, and they're naturally recurring half steps. So if you're talking in terms of scale or chromatics, the semitones, those two sets of notes will always be together. Go to a piano and find the B and C and the E and F, and they're the white keys that are always the two together. Okay, same way with every instrument. So when you're building scales, you have to be thinking about that. It's going to cause you to have to alter those notes one way or another. In fact, in G, that's why you have to take it to F sharp. So now that I've thoroughly confused, just remember the 1 through 7, the 7, just memorize the intervals on the harp. That's going to help with all the flat 5 talk and the 7 talk and all this kind of stuff. And gain an understanding of what that's all about. And it'll also help you to memorize the layout of the harps without having to memorize all of the notes in every key signature. And there's ways that you can remember that too, and maybe we'll get into that at some point with all the sharps and flats and things. But hopefully this helps. I hope you guys are having fun. I know I am. I sure love this little thing, and it's great learning with all you guys. And have a great day, have a great time, and we'll see you guys down the road.